are the contracting body with GAR, the reassessment company, and it is the board's responsibility to understand the reassessment process. Part of that understanding includes researching to see if the methods used and the data available, particularly agricultural and rural vacant lands, are reasonable, and if there are alternative means for assessing vacant lands. Perhaps the assessment of rural vacant land should be treated as what they currently are, and that is vacant land, and not what they could potentially be, and that is a building lot. If vacant land is just vacant, and no one has applied through the town to construct anything on it, then why can't it be valued as vacant land until such a time as it begins through the building process, if that ever is even the case for a particular parcel of land? A large part of the huge jump in value of the vacant parcels in this town has to do with the large assessment value placed on that 0.2 acres where a home would be sited. If that huge chunk of assessment were removed, then the land would be valued closer to its current use, which is vacant. If you search the internet and look at the many other rural character municipalities in this state, you see that their vacant land is valued as just that, vacant, and not as if it is a giant building lot. Now, when a building permit is issued by the town to build on a particular parcel, the town can address changing the value of that land at that time because it would be having other uses besides vacant. The assessment would then be reflective of the current use at that time. Since this town puts such emphasis on keeping the rural character of the town, why don't you as the town board start thinking outside the traditional assessment box and see what is right for our town? The New York State tax website states that vacant lands may be assessed at their highest and best use, not that they are required to be assessed at a higher value than their current use. By assessing them at their current vacant use, you are still giving them 100% value for the assessment rolls, putting everyone at 100%, and also making their valuations more reflective of their current use. Of course, putting a value on vacant land does pose some difficulty, but I'm sure with some further research, a figure could be reached. I understand this goes against traditional policies and procedures of reassessment, but much of what I gathered by reading the New York State website is that the standards issued are meant to be guidelines, not set in stone. The town board has the opportunity to do what is beneficial to the landowners and stay in line with the requirements of the reassessment process. Who is to say that the highest and best use of some of these lands isn't remaining vacant? The second issue that goes along with the reassessment project is showing the landowner how the $5,000, the $2,500, the $1,000 values assigned to their land were arrived at. It is clear to see that valuing agricultural and vacant lands through mass appraisal method is very difficult. But the landowners need to see where these calculations arise from in order to understand and have some basis for their discussions and their grievances of land values. It is at a crossroads that this town board stands. Do you stand up for the citizens of this town and look for a method that is more reflective of the current use, or do you go with the traditional reassessment method posed by GAR? I am sure that you realize that the number of citizens affected by vacant lands reassessment is small compared to the number of voters in town. But you were elected to serve all the citizens of the town, and not just the majority. The founding fathers of our country designed our government system so that the majority would not oppress the minority. The Bill of Rights gives all individuals equal rights under the law. We ask that you do the same here in the town of Bethlehem.
Excellent.
Hi, my name is Deborah Bowl, and I am here in support of the landowners, although I'm a resident of Del Mar, and I am part of the majority whose assessment was not raised. But nonetheless, I have concerns because of the impact on the entire community, the long-term impact, as well as the people who are suffering who will be potentially suffering under the new taxes based on the new assessments. The impact of these taxes on these families, first and foremost, will be every bit as grave as the loss of employment without the benefit of unemployment insurance. And I think that we're forgetting that it's not us being the people whose assessments were not raised versus them. Of course, we feel relief because our taxes are not going to be raised. But these are our friends and neighbors, and they will not be able to sustain the changes. And what is going to happen is that the green space in this community that we all love, this community of the town of Bethlehem, which is unique and special and wonderful because it combines suburbia and rural space and green space and a wonderful school system for both of those districts. And it's going to be compromised when the landowners are forced to sell, and that land is going to be cannibalized and, sought out by developers. And before you know it, the green space that is making our community, the community that it is going to be resembling communities that don't have our identity, and they don't have our town hall, and they don't have our village center. Places like, I'm loath to say it, but, the wrong side of Colony, the town of Colony. And something? That is not what any of us as taxpayers bought into when we bought property in Delmar, which leads me to the long-term implications of what's going to happen to all of us. We all have a dog in this fight, not just the landowners. We all have a dog in this fight because it is going to erode our property values as the complexion of this community changes when there is no green space, when that space is filled with apartment buildings and cheap developments. And to add insult to injury, we are dealing with a casino and a train that we can't stop, and it's probably going to be down the road. Down the road from us, it's something we can't stop. And I know that you, Mr. Clarkson, are concerned with the traffic and the congestion and the rabble that that's going to bring, and we are all concerned with it. But by driving out the small business owners that can no longer stay in Delmar because their assessments have been raised, we are just making it easy for them. We are making it easy for them to grab the property, and before you know it, we are going to have IHOPs and Denny's on our Main Street. That's going to be Main Street, Delmar. We are going to be accommodating the casino because we are going to be in their backyard, and that is going to be because we, with taxing and assessment, drove out our local business owners. And on the other side, on 9W, it's going to resemble Route 17 in Paramus, New Jersey, and it is also going to be accommodating that traffic because people had to dump large parcels of land because they could no longer afford to keep it green. So my question to the board and to you, Mr. Clarkson, is, are we going to allow this? Like, who is going to be the first person to make sense of these assessments and make it right? Who is going to be the first person who's going to be accountable to the long-term effect to this community? And if we're not accountable now, we're all going to be accountable later because we are all going to suffer at the hands of this assessment. And I hope and I implore you to do everything you can to turn this around and to make this right for this community, not just part of this community, this entire community. Thank you.
Nothing yet. Try this guy.
Anthony Von I found this online. Like you said, you can find lots of things online. This was the contract with GAR. And on page 5, which was the side I gave to you on the surface there, it says the scope of the project. The contractor shall, A, subject inventory data collection, commercial including farms. Contractor will conduct an on-site inspection of all commercial properties, including digital photography, measurement, and electronic sketch. Mr. Dave Barrett, he admitted at the last meeting that they did not walk any of the properties. Therefore, an on-site inspection did not take place. On the back of the page 18, from the contract, under data collection, that was priced at $105,900. So if they didn't do part of the data collection, I don't understand why we're paying that. Under the total, it was $326,900. And at the last meeting, you said we paid them, I believe, or are paying them $420,000. What was the extra $100,000? I believe somebody had said informal review, but on the first side, under Subsection F, informal hearing process. The contractor is responsible for the informal review process, all parcels, including scheduling of appointments. So, I'm a little confused.
You want to finish everyone?
Yep. Just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Monroe. I am actually the president of the Bethlehem Lacrosse Club here in downtown New York, and I am not here because of assessments, so I'm very interested in the outcome of the decision making as a member of the town of Bethlehem. I am with Chris Manuel. He is the president of Bethlehem Pop Warner, and we are here actually to say thank you to